Another note then about quadratics. If I ask you to solve x squared minus x minus 12 equal to 0, the factors of that will be x minus 4 by x plus 3 equal to 0. Means that x is equal to 4 or x is equal to minus 3. You got that? Those two numbers are known as the roots. Yes? X squared minus x minus 12 equal to 0. That number is the product of the roots. Yes? 4 times minus 3, minus 12. That number is minus the sum of the roots. Because what's the sum of those roots? 1. And what number have I got? Minus 1. If I gave you x squared minus 4x minus 12 equal to 0, you'd say that's x minus 6 by x plus 2 equal to 0. You would say x is equal to 6 or x is equal to minus 2. What we were solving was x squared minus 4x minus 12 equal to 0. That number there is what? The product of the roots. And that number there is what? Minus the sum of the roots. And every quadratic equation is in the form of x squared minus x times the sum of the roots plus the product of the roots equal to 0. If I said x squared plus 7x minus 5 equal to 0, from that, what would you know? Well, you know from that, you know the product of the roots is what? Minus 5. And from that, you know what? The sum of the roots is what? Minus 7. So if I give you any quadratic equation, what can you tell me from the quadratic equation? You can tell me the sum of the roots, and you can also tell me the product of the roots. Right?
Minus 7.
Yes. The number is 7. That 7 is minus the sum of the roots. Here, the roots were 6 minus 2. And the sum, I got minus 4 there. What's the sum of the roots if they're 6 and minus 2? If the two roots, if one root is 6 and the other is minus 2, what's their sum? 4. But I didn't have a 4. What did I have? So whatever number I end up with the x, that's not the sum of the roots. What is it? The sum of roots, these roots is 4. But the equation says minus 4. So the number that's with the x, it's not the sum of the roots. What is it? It's minus the sum of the roots. In other words, it's the opposite sign. Right? So if I gave you this equation, if I told you form the equation with roots x equal to minus 2 and x equal to 7. I could say the equation is x squared minus x times the sum of the roots plus the product of the roots equal to 0, which is x squared minus x times, what's the sum of those roots? 5, plus, what's the product of those roots? Minus 14 equal to 0. So it's x squared minus 5x minus 14 equal to 0. They won't know where this class is going on. They'll hardly think it's the west coast of Ireland. X equal to minus 2. That means x plus 2 is equal to 0, or x minus 7 is equal to 0. If they're the roots, what are they? They're the factors. Yes? And therefore the equation would be x plus 2 by x minus 7 equal to 0. X by x and x by minus 7. 2 by x, 2x, and twice minus 7, minus 14. That'll be x squared minus 5x minus 14 equal to 0. Now what I'm trying to show you, if I give you roots, there's more than one way of getting the equation. The easiest way to get it is say x squared minus x times the sum of the roots plus the product of the roots. But if I have the roots, what could I get from the roots? The factors. And how do you go from the factors to the equation? You multiply them out. So you could do it either of those ways. I don't think there's any great saving. If one root was x equal to 5 and the other root x equal to minus 2/3, I could say the equation is x squared minus x times the sum of the roots plus the product of the roots equal to 0. It would be x squared minus x times. What's the sum of those roots? Well, it's 5 plus minus 2/3 plus the product of the roots 5 times minus 2/3 is equal to 0, which is x squared minus x times 5 and take away 2/3. That's 13/3. Yes? 15/3 minus 2/3 is 13/3. Plus, multiply them, minus 10 over 3 is equal to 0. So how do we get rid of these? We multiply everything by 3. So I'll get 3x squared minus 13x minus 10 equal to 0. Now, this minus 10, is that the product of the roots? No, because there's a 3x squared. If I want to have the sum and the product of the roots, I'd have to divide by 3 first of all. Or, if I said to you x is equal to 5 and x is equal to minus 2/3, what would you say here? X minus 5 is equal to 0 and x plus 2/3 is equal to 0. You multiply everything by 3 here. 3x plus 3 is equal to 0. So now what's your equation? It's x minus 2 by 3x plus 3 equal to 0. X by 3x and x by 3. And minus 2 by 3x and minus 2. So that's 3x squared minus 3x. What am I going wrong there? X minus 5 minus 15x minus 15, which is x squared. Alright, why did I do that? Whose fault is it? X minus 5 times 3x plus 2 is equal to 0, multiplying across by 3. I'll get 3x squared minus 13x minus 10 is equal to 0. So what I want you to understand from this, and you best say whether you do or not, if I give you the roots, are you able to work out the equation? You have two choices. You could do what? You could use the sum of the roots and the product of the roots. Or you can, from the roots, you can do what? get the factors. And how do you go from the factors to the equation? Multiply them out. The same way, if I gave you the equation, how would you get the factors? You'd factorize. Now, what's the opposite of factorizing? You multiply it out. That would be the end of that section, right? I'll do one more of these. I really don't get the impression from you that you've understood what I've done. If x was equal to 1/2 and x is equal to minus 3/4, if I want the equation that they came from, I would say it's x squared minus x times the sum of the roots plus the product of the roots equal to 0, which would be x squared minus x times. What's the sum of those roots? 1/2 plus minus 3/4. Plus the product of those roots, 1/2 times minus 3/4 is equal to 0. That's x squared minus x times. 1/2 is how many quarters? 2/4 minus 3/4 is minus 1/4. Plus, multiply top by top, minus 3/8. And how will I get rid of those fractions? Multiply by what? So I get 8x squared. 4 will go into 8 twice, that will give me plus 2x. And 8 times that, minus 3 is equal to 0. Now do you understand that? Is there any step you don't? Or x is equal to 1/2 and x is equal to minus 3/4. X minus 1/2 is equal to 0 and x plus 3/4 is equal to 0. They're the what? Roots. So these are what? The factors. But I multiply everything by 2. 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. That's how you ended up with x equal to 1/2. You had this. And this is 4x plus 3 is equal to 0. And that's how you ended up with minus 3/4. So therefore you get 2x minus 1 and multiply it by 4x plus 3. That's 2x by 4x plus 3 minus 1's 4x plus 3. 2x by 4x and 2x by plus 3. Minus 1's 4x and minus 1's 3. So that's 8x squared plus 2x minus 3 equal to 0. Now to do the opposite. If I gave you the 8x squared plus 2x minus 3 equal to 0, how would you go back to get the roots? Well, you'd say it's 4x plus 3 times 2x minus 1. And then you'd say, well, that means 4x plus 3 is 0 or 2x minus 1 is 0. 4x is equal to minus 3. X is equal to minus 3 over 4. 2x is equal to 1. X is equal to 1/2. And that's how you go back the way. But today I wasn't teaching you how to go back the way. We were teaching you how to work forward. Now, have you any questions?